My name is Ryan, and I'm an ordinary guy who works in an office during the day and spends his evenings relaxing online. Recently, I decided to explore a more personal side and identified myself as bisexual on a social media profile. It was in this setting that I met someone named Ella, or at least that's what I thought. Our conversation started innocently. Ella was funny, intelligent, and always seemed interested in everything I had to say. Quickly, our online chats became frequent, and I enjoyed sharing my life with her. As our interactions intensified, I began to notice something strange happening around me. On several occasions, I noticed a strange car parked near my building, or someone following me from a distance on the street. Initially, I attributed these incidents to coincidences, but soon the feeling of being watched became disturbing. One day, while walking home from work, I saw an unfamiliar figure standing on a corner, watching me with interest. I tried to ignore it, but a sense of unease settled over me. It felt like someone was monitoring my every move. At home, my conversations with Ella became more intense. She started asking more intimate questions and insisted on knowing personal details about my life. I was somewhat uncomfortable but thought it was part of getting to know someone online. Things took an even stranger turn when I began receiving unexpected gifts at home. Flowers, cards, and even personal items I casually mentioned in our conversations would appear at my door, sent by an unknown sender. My suspicion reached a critical point when I saw the unfamiliar figure again, this time directly in front of my building. He stared at me with a penetrating gaze, as if studying every detail of me. I decided to confront him. Approaching him, the man quickly backed away, disappearing into the crowd. A chill ran down my spine. It was then that an idea began to form in my mind. Could Ella not be who she claimed to be? I decided to investigate. I began researching her profile and realized that the information was vague and the photos blurry. Connections started coming together in my mind, and I knew I needed to confront Ella. One night during one of our online conversations, I subtly mentioned the strange events happening around me. Ella reacted with exaggerated surprise, saying she was worried about me and offering support, but her responses didn't convince me. I decided to confront her directly. I asked about her intentions and her true identity. That's when Ella finally revealed the shocking truth. Ella wasn't a girl as I thought. In fact, she was a man named Josh, someone who pretended to be a girl to get close to me. He admitted to developing feelings for me through our online conversations and was determined to meet me in real life. The revelation left me stunned. Josh admitted to being responsible for many of the strange incidents that occurred around me. He confessed to sending the gifts and following me on the streets, always maintaining a discreet vigil. The truth about Josh was even more terrifying than I could have imagined. He was obsessed with me, and his invasive actions were a desperate attempt to get closer to me in real life. I decided to cut all ties with Josh and block all forms of contact with him. However, he wasn't willing to give up easily. The observations and gifts continued, leaving me increasingly paranoid and anxious. I realized I needed to act before the situation worsened. I consulted a lawyer and reported Josh's obsessive behavior. Together, we devised a plan to ensure my safety and protect my privacy. I installed security cameras in my home and changed my online behavior patterns. I kept close contact with the police, alerting them to the situation and requesting preventive measures. However, Josh didn't give up easily. He continued to stalk me online, sending threatening messages and attempting to invade my privacy. One day, returning home from work, I found a mysterious package at my door. Inside were some intimate photos of me that I had sent to Ella, along with a threatening message from Josh. He found it all unfair, thinking that because I was bisexual, I should accept him, since our online connection was great. It was the last straw. I decided to confront Josh in person and put an end to this terrifying saga once and for all. I arranged a meeting in a public place, where I knew I would be safe and surrounded by witnesses. When we met, Josh was visibly disturbed. He tried to apologize and justify his actions, saying he would stop threatening me and forget all this. But I was determined to end this unhealthy connection. I called the police and presented all the evidence I had gathered over time. Josh was arrested for stalking, invasion of privacy, and blackmail. It was a relief to know that he was finally out of my life and could no longer threaten me. Since then, I've kept my social media private and taken extra measures to ensure my online safety. The experience changed my perspective and made me more vigilant about my online interactions. Still, the emotional scars remain, and sometimes I find myself looking over my shoulder, fearing that someone is still watching me. My name is Rachel. I've always been a sociable person online. Recently, I met a man named David on a popular social network. We started chatting casually, sharing interests and life experiences. David was charming and seemed genuinely interested in getting to know me better. As our conversations progressed, I began to notice certain strange demands from David. He started asking for photos of me, initially simple things like photos of my daily life. However, over time, his requests became more invasive. David wanted photos of me sleeping. He said he was curious to see what I looked like while resting and found sleep to be a fascinating part of someone's life. Initially, I found it strange, but I ended up giving in, thinking there was no harm in sharing something so ordinary. Over time, David's demands became more frequent and specific. He started asking for audio recordings of me sleeping, wanting to hear the quiet sounds of the night. With each request, I felt more uncomfortable, but I hesitated to confront him, worried about seeming rude or suspicious. After getting to know each other better online, David suggested we meet in person. I was a bit hesitant, but he seemed so kind and persuasive that I eventually agreed. We arranged to have dinner at an elegant restaurant in town. The dinner went well. David was charming and seemed completely different from the demanding man I had encountered online. He was funny, attentive, and genuinely interested in me. However, when we arrived at the hotel where he had made a reservation for us, the atmosphere changed. David had booked a luxurious suite. As we walked towards the room, I felt a chill down my spine. He opened the door, revealing a cold and eerie atmosphere. In the bathroom, a large bathtub was filled with ice. David asked if I would like to try something different, with a strange smile on his face. He was asking me to get into the bathtub. I was perplexed. Getting into a bathtub full of ice was not exactly my idea of fun. However, wanting to keep calm, I agreed. Maybe it was just an unusual preference of his, I thought. I got into the icy bathtub and immediately felt the shiver of the cold water. David watched attentively, as if waiting for something to happen. As I sat there silently enduring the cold, I began to wonder about David's motives for this strange request. After a few minutes, I couldn't take it anymore and got out of the bathtub. David seemed a bit disappointed but quickly regained his composure. "You should go to bed," he said, with a voice that sent chills down my spine. "It's time to sleep." It didn't make sense. Why would he ask me to do that and now want me to sleep? That's when it hit me. It all made sense. The videos of me sleeping, the icy bathtub. David wanted me to appear dead. A wave of panic washed over me. "Sorry, I need to go," I murmured, searching for an excuse to leave as quickly as possible. He was very disappointed but didn't try to stop me. Back in my car, my heart was still pounding. I couldn't believe what had just happened. I drove home, trying to process everything that had happened that night. When I got home, I immediately blocked David on all social media platforms. I needed to distance myself from him as quickly as possible. The idea that someone could desire something so macabre frightened me deeply. In the days that followed, I tried to move on, but the frightening experience was still fresh in my mind. I avoided online interactions and had trouble sleeping, haunted by the image of the icy bathtub. I never saw or heard from David again after that night. I was grateful for that. I kept my life as normal as possible, but the experience left a deep emotional scar. I learned to be more cautious, to trust my instincts, and never allowed myself to be manipulated or exploited in that way again. Since then, I have been more selective about the people I allow into my life, both online and offline. Thank you for watching until here. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe so you don't miss the next ones. See you soon.